Hi, class. Welcome to another week of PSC 583 Public Policy Analysis. This week, what we're going to be doing is assembling some evidence. So you're going to dive into step 2 from Bartek and Potashnik's Eightfold Path to Practical Policy Analysis. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gathering evidence, some do's, some don'ts, some ways to pay attention, some helpful suggestions if you haven't already had me and heard me opine about these before. If you have, this video may seem a little bit repetitive, and so you can feel free to kind of skip forward a bit, but I'm going to talk to you about some research techniques and tools that I think tend to be helpful for gathering evidence, and I just want to try to prepare you as best I can to delve into this stuff yourself. So first of all, in the MPA program, we use APA 7 as our citation formatting system. And I will tell you from personal experience that it's not always so, right? Sometimes I write things and they want it in Chicago Manual of Style. Sometimes, if it's more historical bent, they'll want it in the Modern Language Association, the MLA. Psychological type things tend to want to be APA. There is actually an American Political Science Association format, APSA. All these formats out there. Law tends to go with Blue Book citations. And so the way I manage it is with an online reference manager, right? And I don't think I could have gotten through grad school without it. And if you don't already have one, I highly recommend you get one. There are lots of them out there, RefNorks, EndNote, BibTeX. There's a free one I like to use called Zotero, Zotero.org. You download two separate things. You download one as a plugin to your browser and a second one as an app. They have a Mac version and a Windows version and a Linux version. I think they may even have an iOS version now. I think the only thing they might not have is an Android version. So if you have a Chromebook, you may be a little out of luck. But they have, Firefox and Chrome and Safari and Edge plugins. So, just get whatever plugin for the browser you use and program for the one you use. And what you can start doing with it is little buttons will appear on your browser to click once, and it will suck the citation into the program. And then you can right-click any number of citations that you highlight and tell it to create a bibliography from selected items. You can tell it to either, create it as a text file or a Word file or copy it to clipboard. So you can just paste it in. And you can select any format you want. It could be APA 7 or whatever. So spending a little time to learn about that, research it, Google that yourself, figure out Zotero.org, get the program working. If you have trouble, always reach out to me. I'll help you out. But I think that actually goes a heck of a long way to helping you keep track of the evidence you gather and assemble it and then cite it when it comes down to getting ready for your paper and citing it. So if you get into good habits now, it'll be a lot easier by the end. Secondly, I think this is valuable too. You want to not just dump things into the Google search bar if you're not searching for software or just general interest kind of pop stuff, right? So where do you go? The library search bar is one of the best places to go. So go to the URI library, check out the political science resources, check out the library search bar. That's pretty good. If you're on campus or if you VPN into campus, if that's a thing you can figure out how to do, you actually get access to all those library resources on Google Scholar, which is scholar.google.com. And it will actually pop up and give you the full text link at URI library if it exists in the library. So if you're going to search in Google, please go to scholar.google.com, not just regular Google. And there you'll find peer-reviewed sources that are a bit higher quality or government documents or things like that. So that's what you generally want to do there. With your single sign-in, if you're logged into your URI email Google account, you should be able to get a lot of those as well. You just have to make sure you're not logged into your personal account and logged out of your URI one. because a lot of that stuff's behind paywalls otherwise, and you won't be able to get it. And aside, your URI tuition comes with subscriptions to papers like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. So you can just go and sign up with Google under your URI accounts there and get those too if you haven't done it already. And if you go to the Microsoft My Apps, you can just Google Microsoft My Apps and pop in there. You'll see the whole suite of software that is available to you as a URI student. And I highly recommend you download some of it, take advantage of some of it. Because there are plenty of things in there that can help you along your way. So check all that stuff out. Also, whatever the policy is you're doing, states have guide plans, municipalities have plans. The federal government puts out reports. The Congressional Budget Office puts out reports. The Government Accountability Office in Congress puts out reports. The Federal Reserve often puts out many reports. So you can look at all of that. There are tons and tons and tons of tables in the census you can look at, including more recent ones from the American Community Survey. It's not a full census, but it's a smaller survey they run. There is tons and tons and tons of economic data and FRED from the St. Louis Federal Reserve. You can check that out. There's an absolute ton of health data from the Kaiser Family Foundation. You can check that out if you want. You will find treasure troves of data all over the place once you start looking. And one of the best places to look is at the citations in peer-reviewed sources, right? Find an article that's doing something very similar to what you're talking about and look at who they cited. Look at what data they cited and kind of work backwards. That is usually a pretty good strategy too. So as you're getting your literature review, or at least your proto-literature review together, you're going to be asked to do a literature review, at least a mini version, and you're going to be asked to talk about some best practices, right? Like, especially if it's one of the policies that's been implemented in different countries differently, or in different states differently, or in different cities or counties differently. Who do you think did it right? What did they do that seems right? What seems to be the cutting edge scientific consensus, if there is one. Lay out what the best practices are so that you know where you're not meeting them and what maybe your jurisdiction's doing differently. And finally, for the literature review, the way to imagine that is to imagine you walking into a library, and in that library, there are all kinds of aisles and shelves. And what you're looking for is your topic, right? Your project, your paper. What shelf would it be on? What would be next to it on the left? What would be next to it on the right if there were articles or books on the left or the right of it? What would be above it? What would be below it? What would the topic of that aisle be? That's what the literature review should be narrowing in on, right? Like, what am I doing and where does my work fit in that imaginary library? So, read through them, but it's not necessarily a book report. You're kind of reporting what's in there, but, explain how it's a little different than what you're doing, but it still can inform what you're doing, and it's useful information that's related to it, but it's not exactly it, right? So I hope you found this like a little bit of a helpful guide as you head out there in the world to analyze data, and I will see you all next week.